When Polaris introduced the RZR back in early 2007, they forever changed the benchmark for what we'd expect from a side-by-side. Then in 2009, Polaris introduced the RZR S, a performance-oriented RZR that came right off the dealer showroom floor with long travel, A-arm suspension, Fox shocks, and 26-inch bighorn radials mounted on aluminum wheels. Now, for 2010, Polaris has lengthened the RZR S and added a second row of bucket seats to make the RZR 4, the first 4-seat performance side-by-side. Now, if you're familiar with the RZR S, then most of the features and specifications of the RZR 4 will be easily recognizable. So let's start with what's different. It's longer and it has 4 seats. Okay, we'll get just a bit more specific than that. The standard RZR frame has been lengthened 26, yes that's right, 26 inches, and of course strengthened in the process to handle the added stress that the added length creates. Directly behind the front pair of bucket seats is an additional set of the same adjustable fore and aft seats that are identical to the fronts. And behind the front seats is a full-width grab bar for the passengers to hold on to. As before, the RZR offers you the ability to adjust the seats fore and aft. Now, although not quite as easy as sliding a lever like you find in a car, you can pull the seat from the RZR and by loosening 4 Torx head screws slide the seat forward and back. And there's enough adjustment to provide a comfortable seating position for just about everyone. Also helping in that department is the tilt wheel. Simply pull the lever and the hydraulic shock allows the wheel to tilt up for easy egress and seating for the big and tall group, and down for easy reach by those of us in the category of short and thin. And while we're discussing the steering wheel, it also has a pair of bulges at 10 and 2 o'clock that help make it more comfortable to grip, even in the tough going. Now, the dash layout and the gauges remain the same as before, with a large dial speedometer with odometer, trip odometer, hour meter, tachometer, clock, fuel gauge, and drive position that's all located inside its face. Also on the dash are the switches for the headlights and the all-wheel drive system, along with a 12-volt accessory plug. Now, on the passenger side, you're going to find that same great adjustable T-handle that's typically found only on race buggies and sand cars. Now, thanks in part to the RZR S, Polaris had already strengthened the frame around the front and rear suspension points, as well as the rear suspension and shock mounts to better withstand the stress that's applied from adding longer travel arms. The front and rear suspension on the RZR 4 uses that same setup as the RZR S, with dual A-arms with 5-way preload adjustable Fox podium shocks at each corner with 12 inches of suspension travel. The ground clearance is 12 inches with those 26-inch Maxxis Bighorn radial tires that are mounted on 12-inch aluminum wheels, and the brakes are discs at each wheel. Powering the new RZR 4 is the same liquid-cooled, fuel-injected 760cc twin-cylinder HO engine that's found in the S model that puts out 55 horsepower and propels the RZR 4 to a top speed of 61 miles an hour. The transmission is the same CVT unit found in the other RZRs that has park at the full forward position, reverse 1 notch back, then neutral in the center, with low range 1 more notch back and high range all the way to the rear. The RZR 4 has a dry weight of 1,255 pounds. The carrying capacity and tow rating are the same as the 2-seaters, being rated to carry 300 pounds in its 42 by 22 inch bed and tow 1,500 pounds using the slide-in hitch receiver system. The bed is also equipped with Polaris' unique lock-and-ride cargo latching system. So, how's it work, you ask? Just wonderful. Oh, you want more than that? Okay, well here's our findings. The good, the 4 handles almost scarily good in the rough terrain. And I say scarily because I think this thing handles so incredible that by the time you find yourself running out of talent, you're going to be in really big trouble. You know, 60 inches of width, 103 inches of wheelbase, and 12 inches of well-dampened travel will do that. The ride is cushy soft, and with the engine moved further behind the driver, it's really very quiet as well. The steering is accurate thanks to that well-balanced chassis and the Maxxis tires, and even with the longer wheelbase, you can still control the direction that the front end points using just the throttle. With the adjustability of the rear shocks, it's also possible to adjust the weight balance, whether you're running just 2 lightweight passengers or 4 heavy ones. The bad? At 50 inches wide, it obviously doesn't fit on my favorite 50-inch wide trail. And with a 103-inch wheelbase, it doesn't maneuver those tight trails very well and can be an absolute pain to try to turn around when you run out of space. And that tall cage is not only ugly, but it also doesn't fit in normal enclosed trailers. And like all RZRs, the shifter is still far too glitchy, and it really needs a parking brake. And speaking of needs, I don't know who was responsible for the so-called throttle fix, but I think it's more aggravating than the previous model. And as always, the engine braking needs to be better, and that means less noticeable, not more powerful. So the bottom line, with all that said, if you can find a better and more comfortable way for 4 people to explore the backcountry trails and shoot through the dunes for this price, let me know. And until I hear from you, I'm going to be spending time with my family and friends in my RZR 4.